4.2. This is the Ballymore. And Gaelic Warrior 6.6, Imperial Passe 4.3, Goodland 7.2, 12.0 Champ Kylie, 17.0 in the pocket. All right, the Ballymore. I tell you what, Adele, you come in first of all because you're on your own with this one.
I thought a few other people might have picked him, but obviously not. Maybe I see something completely different. I think this horse has got a serious engine. Like, it's amazing how the summer can kind of really help a horse mature, and he's certainly one that has matured massively. I mean, the Cello was a completely kind of different test for him. I mean, the ground was awful, wasn't it? And it certainly wasn't stopping him. Just hard, I think, to find any kind of holes in any of his performances. We know he handles Cheltenham, he handles various grounds, he's got a good attitude, a really good gallop, a relentless gallop, I think, more than anything. The fact that 6 pulled up in the Cello, I think, kind of shows that it was, you know, very much quite a test that day. So I just think, like I said, I couldn't really find any negatives about him unless anyone else has got any that I don't know of.
I know a man who does. You're going to heavy Deasy again. It's ridiculous.
And it's not that I'm against Hermes Allen as a horse. I agree with what Adele says. If I could choose any of these as a long-term prospect, it'd be him. But you look at the way Paul trains his horses. Had Denman beaten in this, Rock on Ruby, Brave Man's Game. He's already said Ballymore's not his be-all and end-all. So I think there's an element of how hard trained he'll be. But there is also a trend. All 20 winners of the Challow Hurdle to have run in the Ballymore were beaten. 10 of them went off 6.0 or shorter. The reason for the bad record is what Adele was talking about, the ground. They provide hugely different tests. There's a real stamina-sapping effort in the Challow. Contrast the Ballymore, quicker ground, start in the middle of the course, the big sweeping bend. They don't get racing very early, tend to go steadily. A test of speed at the trip, which Challow winners don't tend to be suited by.
So you like the Mullins horse?
I do. I'm really sweet on him. I think he should be clear favourite for it. He really impressed me in the Moscow Flyer, relaxed and professional, and that's important in the Ballymore because they go steadily, jumps really slickly, got a real turn of foot. If you're setting out the criteria you want for the Ballymore, he's a perfect match. And at the time, the Moscow Flyer form didn't look great. But she could be anything, looked like winning the Apples Jade the other day until her stamina ran out over 2.5. The fourth one next time, then ran well at the Dublin Racing Festival. So on visual impression, Impere Pass is the best novice hurdler I've seen so far. And having the ideal profile, he's a banker for me here.
Charlie?
Yeah, I just echo that. I mean, you got the vibe as well that he's one of these horses that just continues to impress way more on the track than he does at home, which I think is likeable. Again, I wouldn't be against Hermes Allen. I think he's a similar sort of profile. It doesn't sound like he shows a lot at home, but brings it to the races. And if Deasy is to be believed and the Tuesday starts off on heavy ground, it's going to be bottomless by the time they race on Wednesday. So it might suit Hermes Allen. But for me, Impere Pass, for all the reasons Matt said.
All right, there's a couple for Impere Pass and then a few more a little bit more left field. Donn?
Yeah, I share the view on Hermes Allen, like a lovely horse, but the Challow Hurdle, it tends to be more appointed for a longer race. At Time Hill, he won the Challow, he ran really well in the Albert Bartlett. Micheál Lyman won the Albert Bartlett. Even Denman got beaten in the Ballymore, having won the Challow Hurdle. So I think it's going to be a big ask unless the ground comes up soft. But yeah, I just think Champ Kylie is kind of an under the radar horse. He's a wee bit weak now on Matchbook, which is a little bit of a worry in terms of him taking his chance. But I just thought that like his win the last day in the Lawlers of Naas race, that was a really good performance. I know Danny Mullins rode a really good race from the front and dictated, but he quickened up well, he saw the trip well, and he's got that mix of pace and stamina that you need for a Ballymore. He was sent off as a short price favourite for the Royal Bond Hurdle, an odds on shot for the Royal Bond Hurdle, and he was just too keen that day. He wasn't as keen the last day at Naas. He settled better in front, and I think a reproduction of that Naas run will bring him close. He should progress from it as well. So yeah, as long as he goes and takes his chance in the race, I think it's his only entry at the festival. So I can see him going there as a Willie Mullins second string for sure behind Impere Pass. Like, I agree with the lads on him. He was very good the last day, and he won his maiden over 2 miles 3. Then he showed the pace to win a Moscow Flyer over 2 miles. So he's got lots of arrows in his armory. But I just think Champ Kylie is a wee bit underrated.
And DC?
Yeah, I'm going for in the pocket, Henry the Bramhead's horse. We actually covered this race as one of the first kind of previews that they would Matt in December, and I put him up then. And he's pretty much the same price now. He was well back on seasonal debut at Wexford and won very easily, and then he stepped up in grade. Then he took on 3-card Bragg and Absolute Notions at Naas in a grade 2, and it just looked a very classy horse. He was weak in the market, and he still managed to just breeze past. No, he only won by an extra 3-card Bragg was coming back on him, but I thought he had plenty in hand there. He finished second in that head, Tom, but he was not beaten 9.5 lengths. But again, 2 miles is too short. I can't see him being 16.0 on the day. I think he's completely overlooked. This is a very, very good race. You could make a good argument for all the top 6 in the market. I could anyway, except for Parmesan. But I'm going to go for the bigger price one in the pocket.
Right, I'm very much with you on Hermes Allen, Adele. Don't you worry. Are we done with anyone else want to add anything? I think we're about there, aren't we? We've got 4 different selections: 2 with Imperial Pass, Hermes Allen, Champ Kylie, and In the Pocket. We move on